Chris and I decided to reshoot our episode 0, mostly because we know what we're doing now, and we've gotten better at telling our story. For today, we go deep on AppArmor, startup myths, and our brotherly dynamic. It's nostalgia time on Startup Different. This is the Startup Different podcast, hosted by successful entrepreneurs and brothers Dave and Chris Sinkinson. We're here to bust startup myths and give you the insights you need to help you reach your startup dreams. Hello, folks. It's Startup Different. I'm Dave. He is Christopher, also known as Topher. How are you doing, buddy?
It's pronounced Topper.
Topper. Chris, welcome to the program. Folks, thank you for joining us. This is actually episode 0 because Chris loves zero-based indexing because he's a huge nerd of the Startup Different podcast. And we're very excited that you're here, and we're very excited to be talking to you today from our studio. So we actually decided to re-record this episode. So this episode happened quite a long time ago.
About a year
ago, but at the time of filming right now. And honestly, we just thought we could do better. You know, it's surprising. This is actually one of our most listened to episodes because I think people want to get to know us and get to know the show. And obviously you can do that by watching a lot of episodes and listening to a lot of episodes, which I strongly advise you do. But if you want to take a little shortcut on us specifically, then this is a great way to do it. So
absolutely.
I was thinking, Chris, that today we could just tell our story a little bit.
Yeah. Do you want to kick it off, or where do we begin?
I talk a ton, and I guarantee I'm going to talk most of this episode. So I'm going to apologize in advance for that.
So does it make sense? Obviously, so I'm Chris Sinkinson. I'm obviously the older brother because I look so old.
Chris, hang on. Put in the comments right now, while you're listening to this, put in the comments how much older you think Chris is than me. And we'll wait 5 seconds. It's 10 years. All right, sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead, Chris.
So yeah, I'm 10 years older than Dave. I'm 45. Dave is 35. So I guess, like when we were growing up, I was a 10-year-old when you were a 0-year-old.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a pretty nice gap in age between us. We do have another brother who's 3 years younger than I am, 7 years older than Dave is. And he is not involved in the podcast.
Not yet. He'll never be here.
No, I don't anticipate he'll be on this podcast ever, but we love Mike.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah. So I'm kind of like the software guy in our twosome. I did a lot of nerdy things. Like to write a lot of software and do technical things. Obviously, through my younger years, and when I went to college, university, I did computer science and graduated with a computer science degree, and that was way back in 2002.
Million years
long
ago.
Time ago, right?
Yeah, totally.
Now nobody's going to remember this except old people like me, but the .com bubble was happening when I was in
You mean
the second year of school. It was crazy, actually. I remember IBM coming on campus and saying, "Hey, just quit computer science right now. Move to the big city. We'll get you set up with like an apartment, and you can come work for us right now." It's crazy. Wow. Okay. And so me and my infinite wisdom said, forget that.
Oh, well, that seems pretty wise, actually.
I'm going to finish my degree, and then you guys are really going to have to pay me the big bucks then. And then, of course, the .com bubble burst. And, when I think back, there was, big companies that were letting go of all their experienced software developers and things like that. So all of a sudden I was competing with the market was flooded with software developers at that point. So really tough. So what do you do in that situation? You go and you start a business. Yeah. So I actually started a business developing computer software that was document management software. And that really just came from our dad had a photocopier dealership.
Oh, man. It just gets like layers on layers of exciting.
Yeah. Our dad had this like photocopier dealership, and they were selling this document management software, or actually they weren't selling very much of it because it was too expensive. It didn't work the way people liked. It was too hard to set up, all those types of issues. So I actually built a piece of software that I thought was just for him to use internally in their business. And eventually our dad actually sold a copy of it to a customer, and I was all of a sudden,
Really?
yeah.
I never knew that. Dad actually like moved. He shipped some product.
Yeah, he was
Like,
the one.
did he ask you beforehand?
Yeah, he did. He said, I've got a customer in the big city actually that is interested in this, and hop in the car. We're going to go show it to them. We went and showed it to them. It was a big bank. And they bought it.
For a lot of money, right?
Yeah, I think it was like $15,000 or something like that.
Okay,
And back then felt like a lot of money. So use that to kind of get the company off the ground.
Yeah.
So I kind of did that for about I did that for a long time actually. I also started up some other little businesses on the side, software-based stuff. So I had like kind of like this recurring revenue coming in from sales of the document management software and sales of other pieces of software that I had built as well. And then around that time, I think you were starting to get interested in business.
Hang on. There's one quick thing I really must mention to the studio audience, which was while you had created that product, I'd been hired as the intern at Dad's office, and Dad's office was about 50 people, and obviously photocopiers, a lot of paper. And document management sort of being like, okay, you take all this paper and then you scan it and then it becomes searchable and more useful and whatever. The problem is there was this manual labor gap here where somebody had to get all those documents scanned. So I spent one magical summer scanning thousands and thousands of borderline meaningless pieces of paper that just went right in the machine. And it's funny. I got really used to like the sounds of a photocopier, because so I could be like in the lunchroom and just hear like, and that's when you knew the feeder, you get pulled in 4 at the same time, and that was it. So I'm very intimately aware of that product. Actually,
so you were a user of the document management software.
I was, and I was like, who the hell? No, that was great. It did work. It did its job.
So fast forward a little bit after that, because I think that was high school when you were doing that, and then you got a university. You went to the same school that I went to. You did not. I'll let you take over here.
Sure.
At this point.
So we've jumped ahead quite a few years, but basically, I'm at my alma mater, and Chris, I wanted to do my own thing too, and for a while I was resistant actually to do anything with Chris because I thought, man, you start a business with a family member, that's a problematic thing. And the other thing too is I just wanted to have my own like legacy. So I really was looking for something. And then I kind of realized I couldn't really make anything. So that was an issue. I had other skills that I was very good at. And so I got really involved though. I had a really good university like career, so to speak, because I actually got involved in tons of different stuff. Everything from like student governments to teams to clubs to whatever. And I really enjoyed it, but I kind of figured out what I'd like to do. And one thing that was happening was, so I was running the on-campus newspaper, which is a very glorious position. I will just point out right now, I did not write anything if you have issues with campus journalism, but I was the business manager. And I was really enjoying business. I started selling newspaper ads, and this is putting in context. So like putting like banner ads on a website was like a pretty sexy thing back then. And so my big innovation was I bundled the print ads with some sort of digital footprint at the same time, and I could fill that newspaper. And so the newspaper went from a huge deficit the previous year to a massive surplus the next year.
Yeah, I should mention too, as you were doing this job, I was actually taking my MBA at the same school, and you and I would have lunch.
A lot of Burger King lunches.
Yeah, a lot of Burger King lunches.
Man, that Whopper.
Still paying for that.
Oh yeah, it's like fat I'll never shed from my body. All that mayonnaise.
Love the people of Burger King.
Yeah. Please don't sue us, Burger King. And now a message from Burger King.
But we would actually have lunch, and I would be taking business school courses and telling you about stuff, and you were going back to your job at the newspaper as the business manager and actually implementing.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah,
just go and do it and see how it went.
It was remarkable.
So it was pretty cool. So I really got into it. That was a lot of fun. Kind of also the P&L for the newspaper and like doing all that stuff. It was fun. It was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And so then the next year I ended up getting another job associated with the school. Was like basically done my degree, kind of doing the victory lap, because college is awesome. Basically I was on this committee called the Campus Safety Working Group, and there were these. We did an audit of these blue light poles, and for anybody who's gone to university or college in basically any school in North America and many in Europe and in Australia, there are these big poles on campus, these big blue light poles. When you press them, the campus security group knows which pole was activated, or the campus police group knows which one was activated. And so they can come help you. And you can always see one pole from another one. So the idea is you have this network where they can come and help you, and kind of you keep pressing the buttons as you try to escape a bad situation. So we did an audit of these poles through this committee, and we found that about 30% of them were broken.
Hey, we're taking a short break to tell you some exciting news. Chris and I wrote a book. Surprise! It's called Startup Different, the myth-busting blueprint for your multi-million-dollar business, and it's available now. Like our show, we're trying to pay it forward to our fellow entrepreneurs. The book busts 33 business myths, tells some of our most hilarious stories, and gives you many of our best tools to build, scale, and exit your business. You'll find the book on all major online retailers, including Amazon. Check it out. We think it's pretty great. And now, back to the show.
So that was a pretty big deal, and broken in various ways. Light bulb burnt out versus it just straight doesn't work, versus there's no pole for some reason, which is probably something to be blamed on the engineers at that particular school. But the long story short was there was a big need there, and so I remember looking across at the Associate Dean of Student Affairs and being well, what if we had an app where you could press a button and it just called campus security, just something really basic. I didn't think it would be anything. It was just almost like a throwaway comment. Because I knew I had this secret, sort of ace up my sleeve, which was this brother who liked to code things. So naturally, I sold the product before it exists, the ultimate future sell, and was sort of in this position where I needed some assistance. So I turned around to Chris and said, hey, I think I have potentially a deal here on a product. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. And mind you, actually, we should sort of highlight, you and I had been kind of working on a few small things.
Yep. We built a newspaper
with
app.
the newspaper. Yeah, so the newspaper, we actually built a little app for it. So we were kind of I'd come around on the idea that I probably needed to work with somebody else to be successful, and why shouldn't it be my brother? And so anyway, so then you started building the first version of this mobile app, which became the first of this, a huge, 350, 400 different organizations, this big empire of mobile safety apps that we sort of put out there. And it was different because the apps that we made were always branded to the organization we worked with. So it was for your personal safety, but if you went to a school like UCLA or NYU, UCLA was Bruin Safe, NYU was Safe NYU. If you went to University of Florida's Gator Safe, those sorts of things. It's always branded to the school. It was always focused on the institution, and basically the school would buy it and then provide it to all the students. And it proved to be this really, really valuable personal safety tool, and still is at lots of organizations to this day. But it started there, and that process and that iterative improvement and working really closely with the customer, and then getting those quick, references to additional customers in the area and slowly expanding. It all kind of happened there.
From my side, it was really valuable too, because I got to work directly with the campus safety personnel. I got to sit in their dispatch center and watch how they were managing calls coming in, and all their cameras, all that sort of cool stuff that they were doing, and kind of really understanding what made them tick. And what was really important to them from their side. So we really built the product around what that customer wanted. So we were really fortunate that we had a really willing first client that was willing to help us innovate and do new things and do amazing things. And I think about a year after we launched it, it actually won a national award.
It did.
Now, we would have loved if we could have got the award, but actually it was our client that got the award.
The university got the award.
Yeah.
Were we invited?
Yeah, we were there. I was there.
I was not there.
I was there, I think, and I think I filmed it. But
cool.
yeah,
Oh,
probably
you definitely did. Yes,
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yep.
but
on a BlackBerry.
Yeah,
it was filmed on a potato. It was so grainy. But anyway, okay.
Yeah, I think I got it, but it worked out really well. And then we thought to ourselves, "Oh my gosh, we have an award-winning app. We should now market this to other schools that it's an award-winning app." And talk about good publicity. That school that won the award is in a big auditorium with all the other potential clients, which was other universities, for that app, seeing them get that award. So of course the phone started ringing, and we started getting requests like, "Hey, our initial first client was getting calls saying, 'Hey, who built that app for you?' And they're referring people to us." So we weren't even doing outbound marketing. It was just coming inbound to us via referral, which was amazing.
It was great. It was great for sure. Yeah. So in there, I got my MBA. So Chris and I had the same training, my GPA was slightly higher at 0.1, so that's
Gotta
point
always
one higher
mention
than Chris.
that.
Yeah, so many times
I still
possibly.
feel like there's some mistake there.
We did on occasion we were mixed up for each other, but anyway, that's fine. It was very annoying to go to MBA classes because it was also in the same school just years later, and it was weird that the teacher would be like, yeah, Chris, what would you like to say? I'm like, there's literally a placard in front of me with my name as David. But that's cool. That's fine. Anyway, so we had a lot of success there. Business kept growing, and we were so we had business training, but we still did things in a way that we didn't necessarily know, but we were doing it right.
Yeah.
We were systematizing our business. We built a really strong culture. We did have a culture failure, which you can check out in a different episode that we talk about. We did have, some bumps along the way, but really we started to scale the business. We had a small team. We did really well. We kept growing. We were all about sales. We bootstrapped the business. We didn't do any venture capital or anything like that. And over a couple of years, again, like I said, things grew really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And then over time, we started to proliferate our product as well. So we added new functions that we could sell. We added whole other new software suites that were in this public safety space, particularly in the area of emergency notifications. And that was a really big deal. And that did really, really well. And so we kept kind of moving up market, taking up more market share, particularly in the United States. We're having a lot of success. And then one day we got an email from, I should say before this, we got a lot of emails from different companies and different organizations offering to buy us, which was a really bizarre thing.
Yeah. We're not really sure exactly what list we got on, but somehow...
We were on the list.
Yeah, we were on the list.
Because multiple times a week we were getting hit up for... hey, here's a big number in an email. We want to buy you for this. What do you think? Kind of thing. And that's some crazy thoughts start going through your heads when you start seeing some of those numbers. But then we started to see some of our strategic competitors, so our media competitors, they were reaching out to us saying, hey, look, we've had it with you in the market. We've been stepping on our toes for a while. We're interested in buying you so we can make this go away. And and we have a lot of episodes that we talk about this. I think the start of season 2, actually, we did get into the process of being acquired. So definitely check that out. There's a great 4-part series on that. But the long and short of it was, we actually decided that we did want to sell the business and sort of move on. And on February 1st of 2022, we did sell our company. And it was, a really complicated but amazing day. Emotionally it felt pretty weird, but I think financially it was really, really cool. So I don't want to put words in your mouth on that because that was kind of a big one. But.
Yeah, it was a whirlwind. It was a whirlwind of activity. Obviously, we went through all the due diligence and all that sort of stuff. Just you and I doing the due diligence.
Yeah.
Our staff didn't know what was going on. And then, we told our staff. And then I think it was maybe an hour later, they were meeting their new boss.
Yeah, it was so yeah, we told our staff, told the key staff, told all the staff the next hour. Then the hour after that, they met the new CEO.
Yeah.
And then 2 hours after that, they were on the all company meeting for their annual kickoff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was, some of them asked us the next day, was that a dream?
Yeah.
Did that actually happen yesterday?
Yeah. Pinch me. Yeah. No, it was a whirlwind. And that was good. So we went into integration mode, integrating our company into the company that acquired us. And that went really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Great culture. I'm really happy with the way we got everything pulled together. It was a lot of work, but we got through it. And then what happened, Dave?
Well, then, a bigger fish ate the smaller fish. So another big fish came along, and Motorola Solutions actually purchased the company that bought us. And the company that bought us is called Rave Mobile Safety. They got purchased by Motorola Solutions for just over $500 million.
Yep, $560 million.
$560 million. I want to make sure I get that one right. Yep. And and so that was pretty surprising. So we had basically well surpassed our earnout and sort of that period when we were done obligated being around, and but we wanted to make sure that our people and our technology and our customers were taken care of. And so we stuck around for a little bit more. And then eventually we said, okay, we're done here. I just didn't have it in me to do another massive sales enablement project with a company that was 10 times the company that was already 10 times our size. You know what I mean? It was just a lot.
I think too, our staff, it was time for us to get out of the way so that they could step
100%.
up, and they were ready to take on a challenge. And I think part of it too was there were definitely some things about the way we were running our business that I felt very strongly about, but didn't own the company anymore. And I knew some of those things were going to change over time. And I didn't want to be somebody that was holding that back. I wanted to get out of the way so that they could take it to the next step, and not be biased by my rationale or reasons why I thought things should stay a certain way or change to something else. So it was time to go. Yeah.
It was time to get out of the way for sure. You know, it was, but it was tough. It was really emotional. It's funny. I think a lot of founders and people in general would just assume that once you get a bunch of money that, like, you know, why wouldn't you be happy? Like, of course you're happy, and you are happy, but you know, money doesn't buy happiness, it buys comfort. And I think what happens is you lose a lot of purpose and identity after something like this happens. And then there's sort of this twin element of, you know, no one really has much sympathy for you playing the world's smallest violin, you know, kind of thing. So, but it was an interesting experience, and I think that kind of left us in a position where we're like, hey, well, like, what do we do now? And so here we are.
Well,
it started different.
I think it actually started with Dave said to me, you know, I think I want to write a book about this.
That's true.
And I thought to myself, oh gosh, I can write computer software, but I am a terrible writer in English. Like, you can write the book and I'll help, but I'm not going to be able to help you like write the book.
Well, I figure you wrote like 2 million lines of code at least.
Yeah.
So we're probably even now, right? I'll take that as a yes.
How many pages?
I don't hear a denial.
How many lines in the book?
There are roughly 67,000 words in the book.
Oh, yeah, I don't think it's even.
I mean, there's a lot of characters and white space and code, whatever.
Right.
2 million lines, whatever, man.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. You're definitely way up, but that's fine. But yeah, so we decided to write a book. So started different than your myth busting blueprint for your multi-million-dollar business. And it actually addresses 33 myths that we encountered during our business, during our run. And it also just tells some of our most hilarious stories and has some of the best lessons, both like good and bad. Like, it's really not a backslapping, look how great we are kind of thing. It is very much okay, so like, here's when we really screwed up, you know, and here's something else that we did right. And this is why it's important to think about it this way. It's very much challenging a lot of the stereotypical startup decision making, things that you think ought to be right. Like, oh, I need funding, or I need to hire a bunch of people, or I need to move to the valley, or like all these things that that we just sort of take for granted. That Shark Tank approach to business, that just is just not always true, and not even helpful in some cases.
Yeah, it's very down to earth. We also tried to inject a lot of research and data into the book. And the recommendations we're making are all based on sound, research. We quote a lot of different, really smarter people than us, authors that have written great books as well. We have our bookshelf of favorite books that we use throughout building our business. So, but it really gives you an insight into like a journey of a startup from nothing, from like an idea all the way through to acquisition, exit, and what to do next. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about starting a business, if you want to sort of see what one entrepreneurial journey looked like with the good and the bad and the hard lessons learned, it might be the right book for you.
Absolutely. And then we also have our podcast, which of course you're listening to right now. Thanks so much for joining us. And we have great expert guests. We start doing that more often after... We start doing it in season 3, I think, and then it gets a little bit more frequent as it goes on, and it's great. There's lots of fun expert insight and also just good banter, quite frankly. We have a really good time in the show. I always say to people, we're not exactly a hard-hitting show, but we do try to get to some myths and some interesting learnings that you can also benefit from in your entrepreneurial journey. At the end of the day, the book and the podcast are both an effort to try and pay it forward. We want you to do better than we did. And to do that, we're just going to lay it all out there. We're putting all our lessons out there. We're not holding anything back. And we're trying to be as forthcoming as possible. So thanks for joining us on Startup Different. This is the Meet the Hosts episode. We hope you liked it. We hope you liked the show. We want your feedback, for goodness sake. post a comment or something. And we would love to. We will definitely respond to it. And of course, if you have any other feedback or anything interesting about the show, please let us know. Follow us on social. We're on biggest on YouTube, although we're also on Instagram. And if you want to see me flossing or something, you can check out TikTok. And flossing still cool. I don't think it's cool. I see producer Graham doing it. I saw that. That's pretty good. And then, yeah, of course, rate the pod. We would love you to do that on basically any platform of your choosing. But thanks so much for joining us. And that is Meet the Hosts of Startup Different.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end of the episode. Nicely done. If you enjoyed this episode, like, comment, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts so the almighty algorithm can help others find us. Want more from Startup Different? Check out our book, Startup Different, the myth-busting blueprint for your multi-million-dollar business. Follow us on social. We're big on YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can also check us out at startupdifferent.com. Special thanks for this episode to Graham and our friends at Toronto Podcasts. Visit them at torontopodcast.ca. See you next week.